Welcome to CINEKYD Theater. This evening, we have two very special guests. Mrs. Myrtle Doering and Mr. Richard W. Meyerson III from the hit TV serial, The Ghost of Telford Mansion. Myrtle, I'd like to start with you. Would you be kind enough to tell our audience a little bit about your background? How long have you been a resident?
Well, my family goes back many generations, and we live at the bottom of the hill at Telford Mansion. And, well, we are very high-class people.
Mr. Meyerson, your father is the mayor. He's been the mayor for some time, hasn't he?
Yes.
Are you proud of your dad?
Yes, I'm very proud of him.
Do you hope to become mayor yourself?
Yes, and I think I got a really good chance of making it so far.
Do you really?
Yes.
Well, good evening. Welcome to CINEKYD Theater. You've just had a rare opportunity to examine pretty closely our product, our kids. Because here at CINEKYD, they're what really matters. More than the movies and television and radio, the boys and girls are just about the most important thing we have. This evening, we're going to take you behind the scenes again. This is movie night here. A close look at what's involved in making films and showing films. And then a unique combination of kids and motion pictures as we present to you a CINEKYD production that has, during the past 12 months, been shown in 8 states. It's all here tonight on CINEKYD Theater. Well, welcome again. I'm pleased that you could join us for this week's edition of CINEKYD Theater. You know, each and every week our boys and girls are involved in any number of activities. Making a television show, shooting a movie, doing a radio show involves a great deal more than standing in front of a camera or a microphone and running away with it. Part of our problem at CINEKYD is to share with an audience all of the various things that we do. This television series is one effective way of reaching thousands of people with the presentations designed by our kids. Yet another program is our family movie nights, held every weekend here at CINEKYD. The boys and girls of our organization not only show the films, but take responsibility for management of the theater, selling refreshments, making sure that everybody's comfortable. Part of the technical responsibility, however, is of course the keynote of the whole thing. Showing a movie, adjusting sound, making real changes, all the kinds of things that the pros do. We thought it would be interesting to take you behind the scenes, behind the door of our projection booth. And who is better equipped to conduct this portion of the show than our official tour guide, Mr. Dave Trachtenberg.
Hi, I'm David Trachtenberg on CINEKYD Theater, and tonight we're going to talk to Dan Oceanreither and Brian Baker on the Movie Night crew. Dan has been in charge of the movie nights for a little over a year, and Brian has been our projectionist for almost as long. So why don't you come on in with us? What is a CINEKYD Family Movie Night?
Okay, CINEKYD Family Movie Night is held every Saturday night, and it starts at 7:30 and runs to approximately 10 o'clock. And it's an old-fashioned movie night at old-fashioned prices. And what we do is we show current films. We just got done showing the Muppet movie. We also show classics. as well as student-made films that the students at CINEKYD made. It also involves at 7 o'clock, the doors open at 7 o'clock, and we show the previous CINEKYD theater show to the crowd. And we show a cartoon usually before the main feature. And starting in we just started serials, and we're showing right now The Phantom Creep starring Bela Lugosi. And that's going to run for 12 chapters, and then after those 12 chapters, we're going to be showing Captain Marvel.
Brian, you're the projectionist. What is the actual work that goes into the projectionist?
Well, before the actual movie night, the projectionist has to prepare the film, putting the cartoon on and the serial. And then he has to cue the tape for the tape recording and for the music during intermissions, and make sure that the equipment is functioning, making sure that the lighting is correct, and that the screen is in good condition, and that everything is set and ready to go at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, so there's no problems.
And what equipment do you use?
Well, we have to use the 16mm projector, a new Super 8 projector that we just purchased. There's a reel-to-reel tape recorder. There's a phonograph and speakers and a microphone system.
Using this equipment, do you find any problems?
Oh, well, yes, many problems can arise, such as the bulb. Like last week, the bulb blew out during the movie night. So we have most of the things needed in case of emergency right in the projection booth. We have the bulbs, and if a film would happen to break, it would be re-threading it, or if we had the problem before the movie night in testing, we just splice it back together. So a lot of problems can happen, but most of them are taken care of fairly quickly.
And what are those two switches up there?
Okay, these two switches, Dave. The first switch here is for the lighting outside, for when we have a speaker up front. We have floodlights, and just turn it up, and the lights go on up front for the speaker up front, like I said. The second one is we just got a screen, electrical screen that comes down, and this switch works that, and all you have to do is turn the key, and that's how the screen works up front, okay? And that's mainly what those two switches do.
You mentioned earlier that you work with a 16mm projector. How is it run?
Okay, well, what we do first is we have the film that's already been prepared right in the desk drawer here. So we take the film and set it up on the projector. Okay, now the film has already had the cartoon and the banner added to it. Then we just take the film, okay, and we thread it through the gates here. Okay. And then from there, we want to cue the tape after the countdown on the film. Okay, so we look through to the countdown on the film. Okay. And then we tighten the gate, and then we test the film.
So you test it to make sure everything's running okay?
So the framing and the focus and everything is free. And we check the position of the film on the screen, and that the sound levels and all are already set before the film.
It's very professional.
Rewind during the intermissions, and then we just start with the next reel after the intermission.
Brian and Dan have told us a little bit about CINEKYD family movie nights. And if you'd like to see one yourself, come down on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
And from that projection booth, we've been very proud to show a number of student efforts. One of the finest is the film that you're going to see right now. A motion picture that has toured these United States during the past year. It was produced by CINEKYD young people in cooperation with the Kiwanis Club of Old York Road, right here in Willow Grove. It's a movie that details a very, very fine effort, a Special Olympics program that goes on right here in our community. The film itself tells it all. Here, today there were no losers.
For 27 consecutive years, until his death, Carl L. Johnson held the office of Secretary of the Kiwanis Club of Old York Road. His devotion to the ideals of Kiwanis and his commitment to serve were complete. In his honor and to preserve his memory, this film is dedicated with pride.
From the time the first cars started arriving with kids on that warm Saturday in June, the air was filled with an excitement that would endure for the rest of the day. This would be no ordinary athletic competition, and not a usual Kiwanis undertaking. The culmination of months of planning, this would be a memorable occasion. We have tried to chronicle the work and the joy of developing a very special program for some very special kids. How one Kiwanis club rallied its community to support a day when there were no losers. For the Kiwanis Club of Old York Road, based in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, some 18 miles north of Philadelphia, the idea of sponsoring a Special Olympics Day was first pursued during a regular weekly meeting. In an atmosphere of good fellowship, where projects are typically directed towards serving the community, the seeds were first planted by one of the members. Charlie Catalano, a member of the Kiwanis Club for 5 years, had seen a program dealing with Special Olympics, athletic competition geared for handicapped citizens. He had been moved by the experience. With the encouragement of Club President Bart Stauffer, Kiwanis members volunteered their talents to serve on a main planning committee and a number of subcommittees to consider the feasibility of such an undertaking and to make it happen at Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. Most of these men had no real experience in coordinating such a project. Few had any direct knowledge of the special needs of the program itself, but they were dedicated to giving it a try. The planning committee met often, after weekly Kiwanis meetings, on weekends, on other evenings. Members who had pledged their services devoted hours to the project, selecting and securing a location, establishing a date, publicizing the event, formulating the actual contests, and widening the circle of planners and workers to include area businesses, local leaders, and members of the school key club. Once a target date was selected, then contacts had to be made to secure permission from the Upper Moreland School District to use their athletic field. A number of businesses were canvassed to provide funds or services. A list of the equipment required to physically run each event was established and then broken down into smaller units of supply. The Kiwanis Club hoped to secure the kind of support from other businesses that the Bank of Old York Road had continually provided, and their hopes were not in vain. Stauffer and Sons provided portable restrooms. Charles Field Meat Company and the Hatfield Packing Company contributed hot dogs. The 7-Up Company, Upper Dublin A&P, Catalano Wholesale Food Distributor, and Nicky D's Restaurants pledged food and soft drinks, and the Rook Tool Company volunteered equipment for several of the events. The Kiwanis Club also recognized the impact that young people have on each other. For that reason, the students who participated in the Key Club at the Upper Moreland Senior High School were called upon to serve actively in the planning and staging of the various athletic contests. In addition to gathering their own members, scheduling times, assigning specific areas of responsibility, and allowing input from these young people themselves, club sponsor Tim Hoffman went to great lengths to detail the particular character of the occasion. It was important, an integral part of the Special Olympics, that the key club members successfully relate to each participant. For the Upper Moreland students and for their teacher, this would be one of their most challenging projects. Finally, the day arrived. The sun was bright, the air was warm, and hours before the first event, members of the Kiwanis Club of Old York Road were hard at work. Preparations circled a table sparkling with trophies and awards, but this would prove to be only part of the incentive for the participants. An elaborate public address system fashioned for this occasion was positioned. Materials for the individual contests were checked and rechecked, and the young volunteers, the eager registrars and huggers, were appraised of their roles and assigned to posts. Kiwanis wives prepared the refreshment stand which they would operate for the whole day. For while the events would be charted by various announcers and races run measured distances, an open stand with delicious home-baked cookies and cakes, hot dogs and cold drinks would be provided free to everyone attending. All the advanced planning and preparation now began to pay off. In order to guarantee the success of this first Special Olympic sports fair, the various athletic competitions would have to occur in rapid succession. Each playing area would have to be ready for use following the previous event, and the essential elements of registration, checking health forms, and grouping dozens of special athletes would have to occur smoothly and efficiently. When all the gear was set, the volunteers manned their posts, and the first participants, with families and friends, began to arrive. The opening ceremonies officially commenced with the parade of athletes. In a procession comparable to those worldwide celebrations begun hundreds of years before, on this June morning in Willow Grove, the special competitors marched with dignity along the stadium track. Included in the celebrants were Sheila Dolchin and the Rockettes, official cheerleaders of this first annual sports fair and picnic. And the young athletes themselves displayed a visual camaraderie. Theirs was a spirit of friendship and unity. The excited crowd of onlookers, parents, brothers, sisters, friends, cheered the assembled group. As the Kiwanis members gathered the young people in front of the stands, everyone joined in singing the national anthem. It is fitting that any program begin with the Star-Spangled Banner, but on this particular occasion, the rendition had a unique significance. As one of the key club members stated later, it was the first time that song ever gave me goosebumps. And the words, "I pledge allegiance," were recited clear and strong. A brief but dramatically moving experience for young and old alike. Finally, Charlie Catalano announced the first event, the Frisbee contest. A few of the willing Kiwanis members provided a basic demonstration. From a set distance, you toss the Frisbee through the ring. Depending on the distance, the wind factor, and your skill in throwing a Frisbee, this can be a little more difficult than it looks. In any case, the Frisbee contest provided an active start. And like all the following events, this was success-oriented. Distances were altered to fit contestants. Kiwanis and Key Club members close at hand to encourage each participant, and ribbons for the winners. Judging from the smiles, it was more than a little successful. Competition. The object, of course, is to see who can keep the hoop spinning the longest. Now, if you have difficulty with physical coordination, this can be a rather challenging task. In fact, for some adults, spinning that hoop is not too easy. But it was a lot of fun, and in short order, the high school field was a sea of swirling colors. And again, watch the encouragement provided to the contestants not only by the red-shirted Kiwanis members, but from the high school Key Club members. As the events progressed, the Rockettes helped to sustain a real team spirit with their cheers. And for the participants, even when you were not actively competing, it was a great deal to watch and enjoy. The third event was the softball throw. Here it was basically a matter of distance, how far you can lob the ball. For any child, it can be a disappointment if you can't make that ball move as far as you'd like. As you grow up, you keep improving. But for some youngsters, growing up isn't going to guarantee you're making the ball go further. Here, the kids were allowed to compete in an atmosphere where each attempt was greeted with encouragement. Scheduled event, the wheelchair race, might have been scratched were it not for the sportsmanship of Charlie Catalano. There was only one participant, but he challenged Charlie, and as our Kiwanis program chairman discovered, it takes determination and muscle to propel all that canvas and metal. Event 5 was the 4x25 relay. 4 teams of relay runners, each racing a measured distance of 25 yards for a total of 100 yards. The participants limbered up for the big race. When the runners and Kiwanis huggers were in position, the race began. It was difficult for some youngsters waiting for the baton. But the exhilaration of crossing that finish line, that in itself was a thrill. And the event was repeated to allow everyone a chance to compete. And then the final heat was run with the winners of the earlier contests. The sixth and final event was the running of the marathon, once around the stadium track. In spite of the rigors of the afternoon, virtually every contestant chose to participate. It was more than simply racing along the gravel path. It was an inspiring demonstration of true grit. Yes, I can. I can do it. Along the route and in the stands, the onlookers charted the contestants' courses. As each contestant completed the run, Kiwanis and Key Club members were waiting to greet them. Finally, it was time to gather everyone together for the award ceremonies. The planning committee chose to group the contestants not in the stands, but as a unit surrounding the awards table. They were tired, some with traces of sunburn, and a few minor scrapes. It had been an exciting day and an active afternoon. Each and every participant in this first annual sports fair and picnic received a handsome medal to commemorate the occasion. Over and above any contest ribbons, which they wore proudly, so too would they wear a special Olympic medal. And the Kiwanis members made sure that each presentation was as personalized and sincere as possible. Then, the presentation of the trophies themselves. Here, too, sufficient awards were on hand to acknowledge the efforts of all the participants. For the young people, the ribbons and trophies and medals were their rewards. For the Kiwanis Club of Old York Road, the Upper Moreland Senior High School Key Club, the Kiwanis wives, and the countless business and professional people, this moment, these smiles were a reward, too. There were ribbons and medals and trophies. There were races and contests. But today, there were no losers.
This film was produced entirely by the young people of CINEKYD in support of the Kiwanis program for kids.
That motion picture was seen by thousands of people in its tour of this country. We're very pleased and proud to have hanging on our wall in CINEKYD a certificate signed by Senator Ted Kennedy in recognition for the efforts of our young people in producing Today There Were No Losers. Now, let's take a look at the bulletin board.
This Saturday at CINEKYD,
I've been having a rough time trying to tell people what I like about CINEKYD Radio Playhouse.
Well, do you tell them about the crazy things that go on at CINEKYD's movie studio?
Yes.
And do you tell them about the continuing Western excitement on the reeds of the Triple R?
Of course.
And do you tell them it's produced entirely by kids?
Well, yeah.
So then what's your problem?
It's just that I can't stop telling people what I like about CINEKYD Radio Playhouse. Last time I talked for 15 minutes straight, and I almost got punched out. I gotta watch it.
Oh.
Appreciate your tuning us in tonight, sharing this program with us. We invite you to join us next week for something new and different as we continue to expand the entertainment of this particular television series. You're going to be meeting some more of our kids, but as characters who hopefully you'll find a pleasant addition to your family. Until next week, this is Bob Clark saying good night and God bless.